Colossal Awakening, the robotic horror that destroyed NYC. Prologue. If you think this is just another monster story, you're wrong. This is not about some alien invasion or government experiment gone wrong. This is about something far worse. Something that lived within me, that hid beneath the surface of my mind until the day it was given form. I survived the nightmare, but survival comes at a price. So, if you think you know how the world works, how reality functions, I urge you to watch this story until the very end. Because when you realize the truth, you'll never feel safe again. Chapter 1. The First Appearance. It began as nothing more than a strange news story. A metallic figure had appeared out of nowhere in Seoul, South Korea. It was massive, its body composed of dark steel plating, its eyes glowing with an eerie red light. It wasn't just a mindless beast. It moved with purpose. It was deliberate, methodical. It crushed buildings beneath its feet, left entire streets in ruins. Then, as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. The world panicked. Scientists, politicians, and military strategists scrambled to understand what had happened. Was it an attack? An experiment? Something supernatural? Then, a week later, it happened again. Only this time, it was in New York City. Chapter 2. The Monster in Manhattan. I woke up to the sound of sirens. Not the usual hum of city life, but the kind of sirens that signal the end of the world. I didn't have to turn on the TV to know something was horribly wrong. The ground shook beneath my feet. The air was thick with smoke and distant screams. I ran to my window, and that's when I saw it. The colossal robotic monster stood in the heart of Manhattan, its steel-plated body reflecting the fires around it. It wasn't a hallucination. It wasn't a movie. It was real. I should have been terrified. I should have run. But something inside me pulled at me, a strange sensation that I couldn't explain. It was like my body knew something my mind had yet to understand. And then, the moment I moved just a slight step backward, the monster did the same. Chapter 3. The Terrifying Truth. At first, I thought it was coincidence. But then, I lifted my arm. The monster lifted its arm. I turned my head. It turned its head. The realization hit me like a freight train.
It was copying me. No.
It was more than that. I was controlling it. Chapter 4. The Weight of Destruction. My heart pounded. This couldn't be happening. This was impossible. But there it was, a machine the size of a skyscraper, moving in perfect synchronization with my every action. That was when I saw the people below, running, screaming, and then I saw the bodies. The streets littered with the aftermath of my movements. The destruction wasn't random. It was me. I fell to my knees, gasping for breath, and in the distance, the monster collapsed. The connection was real, and it had been real from the start. Chapter 5. A Shadow from the Past. Then I heard a voice. You figured it out, didn't you? I turned sharply. There was someone else. A person I hadn't seen in years. Someone who had once been close to me, but had drifted away long ago.
Ethan.
He was watching me with something between amusement and malice. And the way he stood, the way his posture shifted, it was too deliberate. That was when I noticed something else. The monster twitched, but I hadn't moved. Ethan smirked. I bet you thought you were the only one. Chapter 6. The Battle of Wills. The ground shook. A horrible grinding noise filled the air, metal scraping against metal. The monster was moving, but not by my command. It was resisting me, fighting me. Ethan stepped closer. You're not strong enough to control it. And then, in an instant, the monster lashed out. A single sweep of its massive arm sent entire city blocks crashing down in an explosion of concrete and steel. The screams that followed will haunt me forever. But this time I knew. It wasn't my doing. It was his. Chapter 7. a mind of its own. Ethan had power over it, more power than I did. It doesn't just follow your movements, he said, his voice calm. It follows your emotions. I clenched my fists. The rage boiling inside me was reflected in the monster's body. It trembled with suppressed energy, its red eyes burning brighter. Ethan only laughed. If you want to stop me, you'll have to learn control. The battle wasn't about strength. It wasn't about who could hit harder. It was about who could master themselves first. Chapter 8, The Final Stand. Ethan pushed harder, forcing the monster to unleash chaos, to destroy everything in its path. He was feeding it with his own darkness, his own hatred. But I refused to fight with the same anger. Instead, I let go. I stopped fighting it. I surrendered to calm. And as I did, the monster began to weaken. Its movement slowed. Its frame cracked. Ethan screamed in frustration.
No.
You can't just. And then the beast collapsed. The robotic shell crumbled into nothing. The nightmare was over. Epilogue, the aftermath. No one will ever know what truly happened that day. The media called it a disaster, a catastrophe with no logical explanation. But I know the truth. The monster wasn't some outside force. It wasn't from another world. It was me. And I pray that no one else ever discovers the same power lurking inside them. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying stories. Like if this tale left you thinking. Comment your thoughts. What would you do if you controlled a monster? Share this story with your friends because the truth should never be forgotten. Stay safe, stay in control, and never let your emotions get the best of you.